Okay, everyone, we are at HTCIA 2017, and we're in Anaheim, California, of all places. Literally, I mean, a block from here is Disneyland. So it's a fantastic location here at HTCIA. And we're walking around the vendors' booths, pulling various people in to see what they're actually here showing. And here I have with me Barry Page. Now, I'll give a little disclaimer. I've known Barry for about 10 years now.
10 years, yeah.
Yeah, and he is with NCFI in Hoover, Alabama. And so, Barry, kind of for those people that it's not heard of it, I'm sure most people know what the organization is. Kind of give us a background of what it is that the organization does down there.
Sure. NCFI is the National Computer Forensics Institute. We have been training in Hoover, Alabama, which is a suburb of Birmingham, for 10 years now. We started in May of 2008. So we are a federally funded training facility, but all of the training we do is for state and local law enforcement, prosecutors, and judges, all in digital evidence, computer forensics issues. So we do a lot of different levels of training, but everything we do there is all for state and locals.
That's fantastic. Yeah. Now, again, full disclaimer, I've been down there to that facility before. I've seen it. And you still have the patch wall that's going on?
We still have the patch wall.
It patches from...
Getting close to being full.
Really?
Yeah.
It's a huge wall, too. I mean, absolutely huge.
Yeah.
So some of the classes, if someone, say, a local law enforcement agency can't afford some of the tools that's needed or some of the training that's needed in the field, how does someone go about getting through your organization?
Yeah, so what you brought up, this is kind of the biggest deal of all this. And the most important thing to know really is there's no charge for the individual, for the agency that comes down. So everything we do is paid for, and that includes all the travel. We pay for the flights, hotel. You get a per diem while you're there. And I'll talk about in a minute the equipment and software and some of the classes that's also included. So we are doing the prosecutor and judge classes. For law enforcement, we do two separate areas of training. Mm-hmm. One would be for the forensic track. So these are going to be state and locals who are either going to be trained to be a forensic examiner, so they're going to come to our classes and then leave with the ability to do the forensic work, or they're already forensic examiners, they come down for advanced training. Sure. The second track for law enforcement is the investigative track. So non-examiners, but these are investigators, patrol officers who will come down and get a 1-week training in how the forensic process works and how it can relate to their investigations, so that they can have a intelligent and informed conversation with their examiners and what it is they're looking for in their cases.
Fantastic. Yeah, I wasn't aware that one existed. That's something different from when I was down last. So that's great. Now, I've also seen your judges and prosecutor side too. Now, it was, and I kid you not, a full courtroom is built in this facility.
That's right, yeah.
Yeah, so kind of just tell people what goes on in that area.
So we knew when we put this together that the reason we exist was 10 years ago and still today, the deficit that we had at state and local level and guys who were trained to do the forensic exams. Mm-hmm. And so as we are training more and more of those guys and more forensic evidence, more digital evidence is being generated, you need prosecutors who are trained in how to understand it enough that they can actually present it to a jury and get a jury to understand it. But there's also training needed for the judges to understand the technology that's involved when they're being asked to look at search warrants and make decisions on whether or not evidence comes into a case or not. So what they're doing in their classes, so they're there for 5 days. Mm-hmm. So day one, they'll get a full day in how computers work, understanding the technology, operating systems, how they work. Day two is the forensic process. So they'll get an understanding of how the forensic process works. They actually play with some of the forensic tools, see how reports are generated. Mm-hmm. And the second half of the week, they'll get more into how that pertains to them as a prosecutor or a judge. So how to present that in court, which is why we have them in the courtroom actually with an examiner on the stand working through cases with built-in problems to present the evidence, how to deal with search and seizure issues and things along those lines. For the judges, they'll deal more with how to rule, how to preside over cases with digital experts. That's what we're doing and also with the basic law enforcement, it's a similar deal. So they're not ever going to be doing the forensic exam, but understanding when they get a report, how to read it, what it is, and how it fits into their investigation.
That's awesome. I'm a huge fan of it.
Yeah.
because obviously, you know, I have to testify in court, and I think, and you've probably seen this in your experience with some of the students that come through, is trying to make the judge and the prosecutors understand what the digital evidence actually means, translating it almost from the nerdy language to something that the average person can understand.
Well, when you're in law school, you don't learn the technology, right? You learn the law. And so these judges that come, the prosecutors that come, they understand evidence. They know what evidence is. They know how to present it to a jury. But there's, in a lot of cases, a disconnect about understanding the technology. And so the idea is to give them that level of training so they understand the process. They understand what a forensic examiner is actually doing in extracting that evidence and putting it into a report, getting them to the point where they understand it enough again to make a jury understand it, which is the ultimate issue.
That's awesome. That's great.
So for the examiner track,
right,
which is really kind of the bread and butter of why we exist. So we're there to put resources out in the field across the country. We're a national training facility, so we cover all 50 states and all territories. We cover Guam, Puerto Rico, Virgin Islands, that we also do training for. So the idea there is to bring law enforcement in, whether they're a patrol guy, whether they are an investigator, and train them in the forensic process. So we have 3 separate areas of technology that we train in. One is the dead box forensics, extracting digital evidence off of hard drives, off laptop computers. The second is mobile devices, same principle, just with mobile devices. The third is networks, network intrusions. So in each of those, we have an examiner track class where they come in. So that dead box class, our BCERT class, is actually 5 weeks long. So you come in for 5 weeks. The mobile device examiner class is 4 weeks. And the network intrusion class is a 3-week class. So all of those classes, those are the ones when you go through the training, you leave with all the hardware and all the software that you have trained on, and you take that home.
Awesome.
And it's somewhere in the neighborhood of $25,000 to $30,000 per person that you leave with in equipment.
That's a huge benefit to some of these smaller agencies that would never be able to, in their budget, they'd be like, there's never a chance.
Yeah. Well, when this program came together, we knew ultimately that the reason why guys weren't trained is not because there was a realization that we didn't need them, it's because you couldn't afford to get them trained.
Right.
There's no training money available to train them. So we knew we were wasting everybody's time and money to bring people in, train them for 5 weeks, and then send them home to an agency that couldn't afford the equipment.
Right.
So we knew that had to be a component of it.
Sure. No, that's fantastic. So say I'm, an average officer and I want to come to the training. Can you walk through the steps that someone needs to do? Are you familiar with the steps that someone needs to do to come down to the facility?
So briefly, let me hit on prosecutor and judges first because they're a little bit easier.
Okay.
You can contact the NCFI directly. All we need is your name and email address. And every time we publish a round of classes, which is 3 times a year, we publish for 4 months. We will send you the application to apply. That's all you need to do there. For law enforcement, it's a little bit different. You would contact the Secret Service field office that covers your jurisdiction. And if you don't know, if you're not aware where who your agency is, you can contact us at the NCFI and we can get you a point of contact, name and number to call. When you do apply to those offices, the Secret Service field office that covers, they will vet the applicants they have there, and they will send them to us ultimately to choose. So it's a little bit different than prosecutor and judges. And so I will tell you that on average we have about 6 applications for every available seat that we have in our classes. So there is a high demand. Especially for those classes that have the equipment.
Sure.
Obviously. So it can take a little bit of time to get in the classes. It's not unusual for us to hear from time to time it's taken somebody a couple of years of applying to get in.
Sure, but it's so worth it. I mean, the information and the equipment, it's so worth it.
And we are, you can contact us at the NCFI. We have a website. If you just Google search NCFI for National Computer Forensics Institute, it'll get you there. It's the NCFI that's not the North Carolina Firearms Institute.
Right.
The other one will get you, it has our course schedule on there and when we're offering those courses. Currently, right now, we just published our new course dates that are open. This is our February through May training. They're open for application through October 18th.
Okay, fantastic. Is there anything else you wanted to talk about the facility? Anything else that?
No, happy to answer any questions that anybody has at any time. Contact our number at the facility. You can look us up. It's area code 205-989-5320 is my direct line there. I'll be happy to answer any questions. If you dial 205-989-5300, it's the main line of the facility, and anybody that answers the phone can help you out and answer any questions you have.
Awesome. Barry, thank you so much, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Thank you. Good seeing you.